Hey guys, so this will be a video of my rankings for all the weapons in the game History Channel Battle for the Pacific. This ranking will only cover the single player portion of the game, as I was not fortunate enough to experience the multiplayer before it went completely dead. I will be excluding your sidearm pistol from this list, as it's a weapon you can't drop or pick up. In total, there will be 7 weapons on this list. First off, at number 7, I have the trench gun. This quite honestly is the biggest joke of a weapon in this game. You don't get many rounds per clip, it takes forever to reload, and it's just way too weak. Just look at how a full clip can't even take out this pair of enemies from this distance, and it's even worse from long range. It even sounds super weak. I really wish they made this gun a lot stronger, because it would have been cool to use a decent shotgun in this game. If for some reason you do decide to use this gun, keep in mind that it is possible to partially reload the gun to cut down on the reload animation by pressing fire in the middle of your reload. It can be picked up in all 3 of the game's trench missions. At number 6, I have the Type 38 Arisaka rifle. The reason why I have this gun as the second weakest on this list is because simply it's a bolt-action rifle. It's strong, but it's just too slow to fire and it has a small clip. Overall, this is not a great weapon and it should only be used if you have no other choice. In my opinion though, it's pretty fun to play around with if you want to give yourself a challenge. At least it sounds kinda cool, unlike the trench gun. At number 5, I have the classic M1 Garand. The M1 Garand is a semi-automatic rifle and is featured in just about every World War II shooter out there. This is the first respectable weapon on this list in my opinion. It's powerful, but it sucks that you can't reload it unless the clip is empty. This is consistent with real life in other games though. Overall, this is a solid weapon. At number 4, I have another classic weapon, the Thompson submachine gun. This is the first automatic weapon on this list, and in fact the top 4 weapons are all automatic. In my opinion though, I think this is the worst automatic weapon, simply because it's not that powerful and its small clip is a disadvantage. This weapon is basically an inferior version of the BAR, which I'll talk about later on this list. Still, I do think this is a good weapon, simply because it's automatic, and I often use it as the weapon in my second gun slot. It's a good weapon to switch to if the weapon in your first gun slot runs out of ammo. At number 3, I have another automatic weapon, the Japanese Type 100 submachine gun. I really like this weapon, and it's actually probably the most common weapon that I use throughout the game, mostly because of its high ammo capacity, and most importantly, because you can easily pick up ammo for it from dead soldiers. As such, this is the weapon I usually have in my first gun slot. Its shots aren't as powerful as the next 2 guns on this list, but overall I think this is a solid weapon. At number 2, I have the American BAR light machine gun. I love this weapon because even though it only has a 20 round clip, it's very powerful and it has a super fast reload animation. Just look at that. Reloading an empty clip takes only about 2 seconds, compared to 5 seconds with the other light machine gun, the Japanese Type 96. If ammo for this weapon wasn't so scarce, this is a weapon I definitely have in my first gun slot. Overall, this is a highly effective and fun to use weapon. And finally, at number 1, I have the Japanese Type 96 light machine gun. I rank this weapon as number 1 because it's very powerful and it has a high ammo capacity, a full 30 round clip. It's the only gun in the game that has both of those 2 qualities, and that's why I put it above the BAR. It's not a perfect weapon as it does have a slow reload animation. Reloading an empty clip takes about 5 seconds, which is much longer than most other weapons in the game, which take only about 2 to 3 seconds each. The weapon is also very large and takes up far more of your screen than any other weapon. It's not that big of a deal in my opinion though. Overall, this weapon's positives far outweigh its negatives. I also think the weapon is fun to use because it looks cool and it has a lot of oomph. Overall, this is another highly effective weapon that I'm ranking as number 1. In conclusion, here's my tier list for all the weapons. In the S tier, I have the 2 light machine guns with the Type 96 and the BAR. Not far behind in the A tier, I have the Type 100. Still useful in the B tier, I have the Thompson and the M1 Garand. And lastly, big drop from the B tier, the trash tier, I have the Type 38 and the terrible trench gun. So yeah, that's my weapons rankings for the single player portion of History Channel Battle for the Pacific. I do really wish I was able to experience the multiplayer to see how these weapons stack up from that perspective, but hey, not a lot of people were able to experience that. Hope you guys enjoyed this ranking, and until next time.